We have a question that follows on to that. Are the girls and boys ranches run by the county still effectively used with good results? Expand your comments as appropriate. And we'll start with Ms. Zecker.
In the family court system, we have some collateral issues related to the girls and boys ranches. I look at the situation where I go back to a little bit of the previous question, which is where I would prefer to deal with the issues prior to these kids being sent to the ranches. I have somewhat of a philosophy that I think when kids are sent to the ranch, that they mingle with other kids who have the same sort of backgrounds that they do. And sometimes that can be harmful. So rather than being raised by a family, they're being raised in an environment where they're exposed to other folks who have, young people who have committed crimes. So I'm not sure I take a final position on whether or not the girls and boys ranches are effective. It is a sentencing alternative. That's what we use. That's what we're supposed to use, and it will be followed. But I do sometimes question the wisdom of putting a lot of young people together in that type of setting without a whole lot of parental involvement.
Mr. Pittsburgh.
Yes, the boys and girls ranches are a very essential part of our system in this county because for two reasons. Number one, you need the punishment for these juveniles because if you didn't have some kind of punishment, they'd be totally out of control. So you need it from that aspect. Second aspect is at the ranches, they have programs for the kids that help them straighten their lives out. So if a kid can be motivated to rehabilitate himself, the opportunity is there. But it basically comes from the heart of the kid. If a kid absolutely doesn't want to be rehabilitated, there's nothing you can do for him. But you can provide opportunities for the kids that are willing to make the effort. And from that standpoint, the ranches are helpful.
Thank you. Jen, are the girls and boys ranches still effectively used with good results? Expand on your comments as appropriate. And we'll go next to Mr. Commerce.
I've made it a practice over the years not to make comments about things about which I know nothing, and I know nothing about this, so I will not make any comment. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Alojamento.
I worked with the ranches quite extensively when I was in the juvenile justice courts, and what I can tell you is, unfortunately, in the juvenile justice system, we have somewhat of limited options. So you can send a child home, you can put them on the probation, you can put them in juvenile hall, or you can send them to the ranch. And unfortunately, there are some very serious crimes being committed by our youth where it is appropriate to, for a portion of time, remove them and ideally give them some sort of services to hopefully rehabilitate them. And that is at least the goal of the ranches. Right now, what I was finding is that for a lot of youth who go through our juvenile justice system, they do fine when they are getting services. They actually do turn it around. The problem is quite often when those services end, they kind of will go back to their old ways. And again, that is why I feel so strongly that we need to get the parents involved and get the families involved. And if they have the tools, then we have much better results. If the parents can be doing it at home, then they are able to make the changes. But we do have to have something for the juveniles because if we are not giving them some sort of accountability and they continue doing those very serious crimes, then when they turn 18, they're going to be going to prison. And that doesn't help out anyone. That doesn't help our society. That doesn't help that child. So you have to find some balance of accountability and resources. And currently I am actually working with the ranches to see if we could bring our Parent Project program to the parents of the children who are in the ranch so that when their children return home, they'll know how to handle those issues.
Thank you. Mr. Spielbaum?
That's a very, very tough question, which I don't think I can give a satisfactory answer because you look at the alternatives. The alternatives are home on probation, again, going to the ranch, doing time in juvenile hall, but there's one other option, and that's sending a kid to the California Youth Authority. And so if you have a situation in which home on probation doesn't seem to be a viable alternative, then you've got the ranch or some time in juvenile hall. So which of the two is better? Certainly the most extreme resolution is sending a kid to the California Youth Authority. So, you know, I don't know that I can give you a satisfactory answer to your question.
And Ms. McCracken.
I think that one of the things that's important to consider when we talk about juvenile justice is that we start out, depending on the juvenile and depending on the crime, of course, with a lot of things that are directed toward rehabilitation rather than directed at punishment, like restorative justice. And that's where the community, the juvenile meets with the community, and the community neighbors actually decide what the punishment is going to be. And it might be something like write a letter to the person that you hurt and pick up trash. And then we might move to the next level. There's a deferred entry of judgment, or there can be time spent in juvenile hall, and there's all these things. And one of the things that is promising is as we go through each level, a certain group, a certain percentage gets rehabilitated. But then there's the next level that doesn't at that level, that doesn't get rehabilitated. And so we move on to more serious punishment. And the ranch is the most serious punishment before the youth authority. And so when we send children to the ranch, we have to keep in mind that the next step would be that they go to the youth authority, which is really just a prison for juveniles. And I think that the gang involvement and those problems that are present at the youth authority are very serious. But I think it is promising that many children who go to the ranch do leave that, and that's the end of their criminal career. But I think that some of the important things that have to be considered have already been stated here. Rehabilitation is an important goal for juveniles, but also holding juveniles accountable because juveniles can and do commit very, very serious offenses sometimes. Thank you.